The story starts as we are introduced to the world of Cruzon, where people can use magic to change how quartz works. However, our protagonist Rygar Arrow is unusual because he is an unsorcerer, which means he can't use magic. Hoder and his wife Sigyn, his old classmates from the Assam Military Academy, who are also the king and queen of Krishna, ask him to Binonten, the capital city of Krishna. But he discovers that the Athens Commonwealth has taken over Assam after a coup d'etat. They now have their sights set on Krishna, where an old friend of theirs, Zes, is leading a small group of golems to the city. Hoder takes Rygar to a secret mine where he shows him a strange golem made by the ancients that they found they can't control. Rygar begs Hoder to give up to the Athenians, but Hoder tells him that one of the things that the Athenians truly want for Krishna is for the royal family, including Sigyn, to be killed. This worries Rygar. Just then, Zes's forces showed up with plans to quickly take the king and force him to give up. Rygar gets into the ancient golem's cockpit by chance. He can drive it and beat Lee, a subordinate of Zes, thanks to its speed and agility. When Zes gets there, he beats Rygar, but when General Balder and his men show up, he has to pull back with Lee. As Sigyn and her engineers try to fix the ancient golem, it surprises her how well it moves and how it was made. The troops of Zes come back to the next day and attack Binonten. Rygar wants to get Zes to stop, so he takes the ancient golem, which only he can control, and finds Zes. We then get a narration that Athens attacked the Krishna kingdom because they let the Orlando Empire cross into their territory to attack Athens during their power struggle over Assam. However, the real reason for the invasion is to take over the Krishna quartz mines because Athens is running out of quartz. In Ilios, the city of Athens, Lokis, the Secretary of War, has heard that his brother Zes has made it to Binonten. In the meantime, Rygar can stop the fighting between the Athens attackers and the people protecting Krishna and talk to Zes. The two friends talk right away about the war. Zes knows that Orlando tricked Krishna during the Assam coup d'etat and wants Hoder to give up to protect Krishna from the Athens invasion force. Rygar tells Zes about the secret terms of surrender for the royal family because he knows Zes doesn't know about them. But General True and his men attack, breaking the truce, and both of them have to fight. Rygar gets away from the battle but runs into Lee and fights her. He manages to break off one of Lee's golem's arms and one of General Balder's men. Dan shoots him down. Rygar tries to talk to Dan out of killing Lee, but Lee ends up killing Dan right before Rygar can stop her golem. Much to Rygar's horror, Lee kills herself because her golem is broken, and she doesn't want to be a prisoner of barbarians, a made-up term by the Athens propaganda. It won't be long before Zes and Cleo find out what happened to Lee. Rygar chooses to leave the capital because the deaths of Lee and Dan have hurt him a lot, but Rygar changes his mind and decides to join the war after hearing about Hoder's plan to give up and getting advice from General Balder. Rygar is now a heavy knight of Krishna and the official driver of the ancient golem, which is now called Delphine. As Zes and his team get ready for one more attack as Binonten, he wonders what Rygar meant by terms of surrender. As Rygar learns how to use the Delphine and its new heavy armor, Sigyn wonders if he can kill someone. Balder tells him he must work hard to save an enemy's life. Zes's group starts their final attack but stops it quickly when they see Krishna troops coming after them. As they ran towards the border, Rygar quickly caught up with them and killed one of Zes's men, Argath. Zes stayed behind to fight Rygar. Rygar doesn't want to hurt Zes at first, but he quickly gets over it and hurts Zes's golem very badly. Cleo is upset that her friends have died, so she fights Rygar in anger. She quickly beats Rygar and then she fights Balder and his men by herself. When Erect gets Zes back, she is hurt. Cleo tries to get away, but Narvi shoots and disables her golem. So she tells Erect to leave her behind and run away with Zes. Balder tells Rygar that they must now face the Athens invasion force led by General Borkius, even though Rygar thinks it's all over. Borkius' second-in-command, Colonel Io, tells him that Secretary Lokis has cleared the war general of his crimes in Assam and put him in charge of the Athens invasion force, where his men gather in Ilios. In Binonten, Sigyn decides to have Cleo stay in her room instead of the cell, hoping that she will work with them and tell them about her Artemis golem. However, Cleo takes her hostage to get away. As Cleo runs away while holding Sigyn up with her gun, they find Rygar talking to Hoder's pet owl, Graham. When Cleo finds out that Rygar is a friend of Zes, she doesn't want to shoot him because she wants him to be safe. However, when she does try to shoot him, she finds out that the gun is empty and is caught by the castle guards. At Ilios, Lokis tells Borkius that their country is short on quartz and that the general must do whatever it takes to win and take over Krishna as as his army leaves. As Zes and Erect return to Athens, Krishna prepares their army to fight against the Athenian invaders. Cleo keeps living with Sigyn, who repeatedly tells her not to hurt Rygart. In the meantime, Sigyn put together a special golem team led by Narvi and made up of Rygart, her older brother Niall, Sniper Login, and George. George, a talented golem pilot, entrusted Cleo's golem, is General Baldur's son. Baldur warns Rygart to be cautious with his son and to kill him if he exhibits any suspicious behavior, because he used to be a criminal who would kill his pals without provocation. As General True and General Baldur's troops leave, Rygart and his teammates train to get better at using the Delphine, and Hodor asks the Orlando Empire for help. But before going, Sigyn asks Rygart to promise that he will return safely. General True is attacked by the Athenians, led by Io and Nike, and is killed in battle, which Rygart and his group don't know about. As Baldur and Borku start a siege fight, an officer named Elsa sees a small opening and talks the general into letting her lead a small group of golems to attack and kill Borkus. Even though Borkus and his men are outnumbered by 20 to 6, they kill all of Elsa's troops. Borkus tells Nike to pull Elsa's cockpit out and show it to the Krishnan guards to make them lose hope. But Baldur gets all his golems together and sends them against Borkus' army. Borkus has surrounded Baldur's forces on both sides, but Rygart and his team quickly save them by destroying the left flank, which forces Borkus to order his army to withdraw. As Borkus' forces tried to flee into a valley, George caught them by surprise. He quickly took down Nike's golem and fought Borkus and took his officers. Narvi talks to George about his surprise attack on the Borkus forces and has him locked up so he doesn't do it again. Later, Login, Rygart, and Niall found out that True hasn't died, but Niall is still determining if he should tell Narvi. The Athenian invasion army has finally reassembled while Rygart and Baldur discuss George's past, and Cleo and Sigyn discover more about Zes's time at the academy. Borkus is overjoyed to have found two worthy opponents to fight, especially Rygart and George. Even though he has lost many golems, George badly hurt Nike's ego, and one of his officers died. Rygart doesn't follow Narvi's orders to go home, and looks for his brother when he finds out that Borkus is going to his hometown, where Rygart's little brother lives. But when he gets there, Borkus' men have already killed the people in the town. Borkus is glad to see Rygart and challenges him to a fight while his men watch. After a long, tough fight, Borkus knocks out Rygart and tells his men to break into the cockpit of the Delphine and kill the pilot before taking the ship back to Athens. Rygart wakes up and can get away when his squad mates help him. As the team was about to retreat, Io and Nike troops stopped them and killed Narvi, Login, and Niall's golems. In all the chaos, George runs away. Rygart chases after him, and the two of them fight. As they fight, George makes fun of Rygart for standing up for the weak. He also says that he has heard that Sigyn loves him, and gives Rygart a chance to make Sigyn his. But Rygart laughs at George's ideas and tells him to fight for Krishna as his father did. He then beats George. Io and Nike's troops finally get to where they can corner both men, since the Delphine is out of power. George decides to save Rygart by kicking it into a valley while fighting the enemy, killing many of them and Nike in the process. After George dies, Baldur and his men take Rygart and Delphine back to Binonten before the Athenians arrive. Borkus plans to attack Binonten with the forces that he already has instead of waiting for the rest of the invasion force. On the other hand, Narvi and Niall and Login manage to stay alive and try to get Niall's broken golem back into Binonten. As Rygart is upset about George's death, Sigyn makes new quartz armor and has a weapon ready for the Delphine, with the help of her engineers and an Orlando merchant named Greta. When Borkus' troops finally arrive, he tells them to attack Binonten from 3 directions, with Io and Bades leading 2 of them, while Captain Sakura rallies the defenders. Krishna and Athens are having a terrible fight in the streets of Binonten, while Rygart watches from a distance. Delphine's power source is being recharged, and new armor is being put on her. Baldur and his men finally get there, where they fight Bades' men, while Narvi, Niall, and Login get more golems to join the fight. After the Delphine power has finally been refilled, Rygart joins the fight and takes over for Sakura while he fights Borkus. As everyone watches Rygart and Borkus fight, most of the shuriken attacks miss Borkus, but Rygart finally hits Borkus' golem in the legs. which hurts the body. Borkus gets out of his cabin and keeps shooting at Rygart with his gun. Rygart kills Borkus when he thinks back on things he did to lead that war. After Borkus was killed, his men ran away, ending the fight in the aftermath. When Rygart, Hoder, and Sigyn are reunited, Rygart cries with happiness when he hears that his brother Rigats is still alive in Binonten. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe.